Welcome back. In today's video, we dive into the heart of the battle. Act 1, Scene 2 of Macbeth, where blood, bravery, and ambition take center stage. This is not just a war report, it is Shakespeare setting the tone for a dark and turbulent tragedy. Here we meet Macbeth through the eyes of others, long before he steps on stage. Why is he hailed as a hero? And how does this moment plant the seeds for his dramatic downfall? Stay tuned as we break down the scene line by line and uncover how Shakespeare creates the legend of Macbeth and narrates his downfall. So, let's get started. The scene begins with the sound of the alarum. Alarum within, enter King Duncan, Malcolm, Donalbain, Lennox, with attendants meeting a bleeding captain. So alarum signifies a call for arms. It alerts the people and it somehow prepares them to be ready with arms. It is also an indication that the battle is in progress. So the king enters, the King of Scotland, along with his two sons, Malcolm and Donalbain, followed by one of the Thanes of Scotland, Lennox. And they are all assembled there and they meet a bleeding captain. The king looks at the man and says, "What bloody man is that?" So he sees that the captain is covered in blood. He has numerous wounds on his body and each of the wounds is oozing out blood. He can report, as seemeth by his plight, of the revolt, the newest state. So the king believes that, he says, as seemeth means seemed, by his plight. His is the captain's plight. Plight means his unfortunate condition. He is wounded. So by looking at him, the king can understand that he will be able to report the newest state, that is the recent news of the revolt, that is of the revolt that is happening in Scotland. It has taken the form of a civil war. Malcolm introduces the captain as a sergeant who, like a good and hardy soldier, fought against my captivity. So this man, this sergeant, this captain, he fought like a good and brave soldier against my captivity. And this captain protected Malcolm from being taken as a captive, as a prisoner. And he publicly praises the captain, that is Malcolm publicly praises the captain and says, "Hail, brave friend." Then he requests the captain to say to the king the knowledge of the broil as thou didst leave it. So he says that he should inform the king whatever he knows, whatever knowledge or information he has about the broil. Broil is, the literal meaning is turmoil or disturbance. Here it is referring to the ongoing battle. And he says, "As thou didst leave it, when you left the battlefield, what was the situation then?" Captain answers, you will find that he uses a lot of similes in order to explain his point. In certain parts, you would find that the structure is irregular. This is done deliberately to indicate the exhaustion of the captain, who, after being injured, has returned to get some medical assistance. He answers, "Doubtful it stood." So it was difficult to predict the outcome of the war when he left. As two spent swimmers, he brings in a comparison, a similarity between two spent swimmers. Spent means exhausted swimmers that do cling together. Two exhausted swimmers, if they cling together, that is, if they hold each other's hand in water and cling together and choke their art, they will choke their art. They will not be able to swim if they cling on to one another. In order to swim forward, they will have to leave each other. So by clinging on to one another, they are hindering or obstructing their own art. In the same way, the rebellions and the army of Duncan, these two armies were fighting in such a manner that it seemed that they were capable of choking each other's art. It indicates that the army of Duncan as well as the rebel sides, they were fighting with equal force and ferocity, and it was difficult to choose or to predict which side would win. Both the armies were exhausted, yet the way they fought, it was ferocious. They fought with equal ferocity. The merciless MacDonald, worthy to be a rebel, for to that the multiplying villainies of nature do swarm upon him. So the merciless MacDonald is the rebel, and he is worthy to be a rebel. He is fit to be a rebel. Why? For to that the multiplying villainies of nature, because he possesses multiple vices, and the villainies are so many, multiplying villainies, that his villainies are so many that it swarms or moves around him like insects, like innumerable insects. From the western isles of kerns and gallowglasses is supplied. So the MacDonald, his army, the rebel, his army was formed of kerns and gallowglasses. Kerns were Irish foot soldiers. So these foot soldiers and gallowglasses are also soldiers who carried heavier arms and were slightly heavier in build. It is an indication that mercenaries, fighters who fight in exchange of money, they were brought in from elsewhere to fight for the rebel. And fortune, mark here, fortune has been personified. On his damned quarry is quarrel, smiling, and fortune amorally was smiling, was favoring MacDonald's side, was smiling upon him, and it behaved so amorally that fortune is compared to a rebel's whore, to be a treacherous prostitute, showed like a rebel's whore. But all's too weak. But the captain says, every expression that I put forward is insufficient to describe the condition on the battlefield. For brave Macbeth, well he deserves that name. And he says, but for brave Macbeth, who disdaining fortune, ignoring fortune's favor on the rebel, with his brandished steel, with his opened sword, with an open sword, which smoked with bloody execution, and his sword, it appeared as if his sword was dipped in steaming blood, and blood was not only streaming from his sword, but a smoke also, the steam was also coming out from his sword. Like Valour's minion, Valour is again personified here. Like Valour's favorite person, Macbeth emerged with an open sword, carved out his passage. So he fought through the battlefield and carved a passage so that he could reach the rebel, till he faced the slave, till he was face to face with MacDonald, which never shook hands nor bade farewell to him. And he never shook hands or bade farewell means he was so fast. They started fighting immediately without any exchange of formalities. And in no time, Macbeth unseamed him till he unseamed him, that is, slit him open from the nape to the chops, from the bottom Till the chops means till the jaws. MacDonald was split open by Macbeth and fixed his head upon our battlements. And he fixed the man's head, fixed the rebel's head on top of their battlements, displaying that this is the head of the traitor. If anyone is a traitor, he will be treated like that. O valiant cousin, worthy gentleman. So the king is overjoyed with this report, and he, in an affectionate manner, calls out to his beloved cousin Macbeth, who is a worthy gentleman, who is valiant, who is fearless, bold, and courageous. Now, please mark, he doesn't call Macbeth cousin only out of affection, but Macbeth is his first cousin. They are both grandsons of King Malcolm. Captain again begins, and he says, as whence the sun begins his reflection. That is, as when, again he begins his speech with a simile. He says, when the sun begins his reflection means begins to shine. Suddenly, like shipwrecking storms powerful enough to wreck ships appeared, and direful thunders and dreadful thunders, like when the sun is about to come out, about to shine, suddenly from the horizon shipwrecking storms appear. So from that spring, so he again brings in another simile. He says, when there is spring is the most beautiful season, and when there is spring, everything is pleasant. And he says, whence comfort, he doesn't finish the comparison, and he moves on to a proverb. He says, whence comfort seem to come, when it appears that comfort is now within reach, because Macbeth has killed the rebel. So it appeared as if now winning the battle would be easy. Now comfort was within reach. Discomfort swells, like when comfort is within reach, suddenly the discomfort increases. Mark, King of Scotland, mark. So he says, mark, King of Scotland is Duncan. Note, sir, note. No sooner justice had with valour armed, no sooner justice was served. That is, MacDonald was slain on the battlefield with valour armed and with fearlessness. Justice, here justice is associated with King Duncan's cause, and the captain associates justice with King Duncan's cause, and he says, when justice was served to the traitor with valour's help, with valour armed means with the help of the fearless Macbeth, and they compelled these skipping kerns to trust their heels, and they forced the skipping kerns, that is the Irish foot soldiers, to trust their heels is to drive them out of the battlefield. But the Norwegian lord, surveying vantage at that moment, the Norwegian lord, the Norwegian king Sveno, surveying vantage, that is, he perceived himself to have the advantage. He thought that this was an advantageous point. Now the soldiers of Duncan's army are tired, so this is an important point. With furbished arms, that is, with replenished arms, with new arms and new supplies of men, and with new soldiers, began a fresh assault, started a fresh attack. What will happen? What will be the outcome of this battle that was mentioned in Act 1, Scene 1 by the witches? In order to find that out, stay tuned for the next part of this scene. If you like my work, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next part.